This is where I do all my planting. This is my oasis up here. I come up here to relax and kind of like clear my head. I work on my plants from Madagascar, all within a stone's throw of the mighty city. So the first time I went to Madagascar, I was told two major lies. I was told that it was easy to get around and that everybody spoke English. And I landed in the capital city at about midnight and nobody speaks English. It's very difficult to get around. So I hid in a hotel room for a couple days just thinking, oh my God, what have I done? And then I decided, well, you're here, you can't go home and say you didn't go anywhere. So I bought a motorcycle and I set out around the country. I only knew like a couple words like hello, how are you? I'd never ridden a motorcycle before, so I was learning while riding around here, and I was just screaming like, hello, how are you to people. I imagine I was a pretty crazy sight. But the people who really opened their arms to me were the children. I would stop to like read a book or to just like relax, and I'd be covered in kids like climbing and jumping all over me, and I started clowning, what I know how to do. And we started this physical conversation of expression, and it like saved my life. It led to me getting places to sleep, something to eat, and ultimately my heart exploding.
Zara Aina is a Malagasy expression which means shared life, and it's one of the first expressions that Lucas learned on his initial trip to Madagascar that he brought back, and I picked him up at the airport and saw what I considered to be somebody different or somebody changed.
How would you say it was
Well,
changed?
when you left, you were kind of a jerk.
Yeah.
You're kind of like,
In what way?
Well, you're just sort of like grumbly and like didn't like stuff and just sort of like, like I would describe you in this way, like, and when you came back, you're like, oh wow, everything, wow. And I was like, I sort of said that, I want some of that, because I was starting to feel a little bit of the same. In all seriousness, we started talking about going back to Madagascar and bringing artists, friends of ours from New York, to find a way to use theater and performance to empower children and to inspire them to stay in school, as hard as that can be in their situation, at least the kids we work with.
Like this all the time.
Oh. Not mass.
Not like this.
So.
We take our inspiration from Daniel Scalar and 52nd Street Project and playmaking, and we kind of add the clown and the physical theater and the dance and the puppetry skills that we have to We use Malagasy folktales as the inspiration for everything we do. Madagascar is a very tribal country, and every section has its own tales, and they're being lost. I mean, there are tales that haven't been told, some of them in hundreds of years, and then we give them to the kids, and the kids riff on them. A simple tale that might be about a crocodile who disguises himself as a human in order to win a bride. They'll riff it out, and then the crocodile will become four crocodiles who have a rap battle, and then the daughters will, have like a dance that they do, and then they'll just start to spin. Kids' imaginations are amazing, and all you have to do is give them the platform and the tools, and they'll just go.
How many more days of rehearsal do we have before we have a show? One more day. One. Isa. Yeah. So, we have a lot of work to do tomorrow, but we did a great job. We got through all the music today.
When
we talk about the clown, we're not talking about, we're not teaching juggling and tightrope walking or like cramming into cars.
Yeah, we're talking about creating a conversation with the audience that is really alive and immediate.
That sort of childlike nature we all have somewhere within us, this sort of unsocialized version of ourselves. Before we were told no, before we were told that's too loud, that's not polite, that's too messy. Because that's really where all of our, at least my spirit for wanting to perform comes from, that little one that, took that first stage when I was a kid, which is part of the reason it works so well with the kids we work with.
Absolutely.
Is because they're right in that moment still. They're right on the cusp of leaving, like they're just about to turn too cool, too polite, too mature, and right before they leave, we kind of want to use the clown work to encourage them to keep that sort of creative thinker alive in them. So it really works on stage, but also off. I remember one of our early sort of exit interviews with one of our children. We asked about what it felt like to be out on stage, to experience bringing a show, to perform it for children his age. And he thought about it for a while, and he didn't really know what to say. And finally, through the translator, he said, "It makes me feel happy." And I said, "Well, why? Why does it make you feel happy?" And he thought about it. Finally, again, through the translator, he said, "Because I've never given a gift before." I mean, and that was the moment for me where I went, wow, you know, we didn't do that. He did that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
You know, New York is hard. Brooklyn is hard. Like, we live a different life here, but man, you think Brooklyn is hard, take one trip to a third world country and, you know, 20 minutes underground on the F train will feel like
Luxury.
nothing. Yeah. So part of the idea of wanting to create this experience was because of how much they gave us and how much we brought back with us. I remember, you know, we're joking about it, but Gentleman's Guide was one of my first auditions I had when I got back from our initial trip to Madagascar.
Perfect and lovely, who couldn't love her, heaven knows. Round and round it goes.
Part of the reason I was, in a way, ready to take on that challenge was because I knew how lucky I was to even be in the room, to even be able to say, I'm here today pursuing a dream I have. That's vocabulary that we've inherited from our, you know, childhoods and what we've been reinforced with in this country. But to the children we work with, I remember there was no translation for the word dream, or like, what do you dream of doing when you grow up? It took a while to get to that language, even because it's not thought about in a similar way. And just realizing that, taking the perspective away from that country and their experience, was invaluable to us as artists in New York.
So you're saying that the reason you booked the job in Gentleman's Guide is directly because of Zara Aina.
Yeah.
So then you're welcome. I should get at least like It's the kind of thing where when everybody's coming from the right place in their heart, it resonates and reverberates so quickly and gets so big so fast. It's amazing. It's very different than like many of the schemes I've come up with as an artist, you know, because they were pretty ego-driven. And once we hit on this thing that wasn't about us, that was about these kids and how to keep these kids and their empowerment the center of our focus, it exploded. And it's amazing.
Isa, Rua,